Some viewers may find the following video disturbing. Viewer discretion is advised.
Hey everyone, welcome back to Board Games Unlocked. Devin and I are doing a discussion over Honeybuzz Fall Flavors, which is it is an expansion. It looks like it would be a standalone expansion where it's like, hey, here's all the stuff to play the game, but you weirdly do need some stuff from the base game. It's like, why not just make it standalone at that point?
Right.
But I didn't actually realize it was a modular expansion, and those are just the best. To come out, honestly, just because it's like, oh, I don't really like the new way that the game ends. I don't like the sunset thing. I don't like the nectar caps. I don't like that. So it's like you can pick and choose what you want in the board or in the game.
Right.
I showed Honeybuzz to Devin a few months back, which, I'm assuming you really liked it.
It's a good game.
So we basically played every single module that comes in Fall Flavors. Not basically, we did play every single module. So we'll just go through those and talk about if we liked or disliked it. So Devin, so we'll start from this one. The Sweetwater Sunset, the module that changes how the game ends.
Well, it's certainly easier to track when it's going to end. It's
so.
just like broadcasting, you have this many turns left. Before it felt a little artificial, I guess, in the way the game ends.
Yeah.
I like that you kind of have to pay attention to the stipulations that do bring it down.
Because there's 6.
Yeah, what was it before? Everything had to, you had to empty out
3 stack, or 2 of the 3 stacks.
2 or 3 stacks.
Or, I believe 3 of the 4 markets had to hit the bottom.
Okay.
And that, I felt, was always... unless someone was just selling just to sell because they didn't have anything else to do with the market, it's clearly you're going for the orders, so that's probably the way the game's going to end, but that was just kind of another way, just in case. I prefer the sunset.
Yeah, it makes it more of a broad, an even, steady progression towards the end. Versus, you could kind of bum rush it if both players are going for market. Yeah. Or if both players are just selling, you can really rush the game.
Yeah. Because now the way the game ends is, order stack becomes empty and moves down 2. Resources do reach the lowest value. And this all accumulates. So it's like, if a market becomes empty and, a resource reaches a lower value, then it's going down by 3. Last nectar tile is collected. Hive's tile stack becomes empty. So there was a ton of different stuff that causes it to go down. So you essentially, if the orders aren't what you're going for, because the Fall Flavors add so many different ways to get points, that it's not just orders. It's like, oh, I'm not even going to touch orders. And I did. I had a decent amount of orders, but it's like, I wasn't producing a lot. All of mine are very cheap. I was barely harvesting because I was trying to go for different ways to get points. That the sunset way is clearly the way to do it. And it even says so in the rulebook. It's like, this module should always be included when you play with the Fall Flavors, no matter which other modules are in play.
Yeah.
So if you're throwing in another module, it's like, just do this, because otherwise the game's going to take way too long, and you already score high points anyway.
Right.
So that one was just very simple to add. I liked it. The next one, which is kind of the biggest piece of the game, is the Fall Fruit, which is the new board that adds in, basically it's a pollen, it's fruit, and there are fruit orders that you can do. You touched on that way more than I did, so...
they're static and constantly collectible. A little more strategic versus the pollen, where it's just got nothing else to do, grab a pollen.
Yeah.
Those, it's okay, maybe I want a pear, I gotta be over here for that.
Yeah.
I gotta be over here for the apple.
And add some variety, too.
Yes, so that you can get, they now have, they have a static price, and then if you sell them in a bundle, they give you a bonus.
Yeah, so, the scores skyrocket. But what's also cool about the setup is those circular tokens, the pear, pumpkin, 2 apples. The layout's always going to be the same, but those will be different. So where the nectar tiles are, those will be random, and where the 4 fruit tiles are going to be, those are going to be random. So, it also opens up. You're not just kind of able to go up, down, left, right. You have more areas to go to. Funny enough, we'll talk about one of the modules in a sec, but because you went so heavy on that, you actually took all the buckwheat, and I only had 1, so that's why I went for nectar caps, because I'm like, well, don't need that anymore.
Yeah.
he has all the things I can't. There are no more nectar tiles for me to get. So, all right. I guess I'll go that route. But also, I wanted to touch on everything. It is funny because whenever we were initially thinking of the fruit, it's like, oh, reflavored pollen. Like it's the same, but it's really not. Like there are tons of stuff that call out for fruit, and like you said, with selling,
There's a little more depth.
Yeah.
To the market
without making it more complex.
Yeah.
I think.
texture.
Yeah. Because there are different, like, there are some orders that just require a fruit. Doesn't matter which one. But a lot of them require specific ones. And also, like you said, you sell them in a bundle. It's like you're getting a static 9 points from that plus whatever the market's at. So it turns into like, oh, hey, that was 9, that's 15. That's more than I would get from trying to sell a shit ton of the same pollen.
Right.
But that's pretty much that, the fall flavors module. Again, out of the board. And what is huge, I think, is the add-on of fall orders that have a decree action. Like whenever you fulfill the extra market one. Because the regular board doesn't have that.
Doesn't have the decree one. Oh,
yeah,
okay.
The one that if you fill that order out, it's a decree.
Yeah.
And
Decree actions are definitely where it's at.
Yeah, which is why it costs 5 coins to even get. So I really like that. I mean, overall, I'm just going to say I like every module that was in the game that was added. And surprisingly, adding in everything, at least for me, wasn't overwhelming.
Oh, was it first? I was like at first. I was like, what the fuck do I even
Oh
go
god, there's
for?
so many ways to get points.
But then I kind of eased into it. I'm like, oh, okay, here's the rotation.
I was able to touch on everything. I mean, there were things like here's my strategy, but it's like I wasn't like I'm not even looking at that, you know. So that's the fall fruit module. The next one, this is actually probably the one that I focused on the most, but I also didn't. I think it's just kind of there. Is the fall leaves module. So now there are 6 tiles that are added. So you remove 6 tiles from the base game and add in 6 new tiles that have these leaf prints on them, which are hollow or foil leaves, which is, I mean, they look very nice.
Yeah, we're pretty noticeable.
And they're randomly shuffled in through the tiles. So now, instead of just grabbing the same tile, I mean, I guess I do like this. Instead of just getting the same tile over and over,
It can lean you in a different direction.
yeah, it's like, ooh, man, because now instead of the 3 Queen's Decree cards, there's a foliage card that gives you points depending on the type of foliage you get. And funny enough, there were times where I would take a tile, and if it didn't have a foliage on it, I almost didn't want it.
Yeah.
I was like, ugh, because I had one that I could pair up with, because ours had required pairs, and I'm like, man. But you had so many people that like you had more workers than me, so you were recalling later, and I'm like, okay, like I guess I'll get a blank, boring ass tile because I don't want to spend 8 workers to get 2 points.
I was like, I'm not going to stress about that one. I just want action economy.
Yeah, but it was nice because I still felt like I was closing off sections while kind of being rewarded for doing so. Instead of getting my actions, it was like, ooh, haha, 2 points for doing that. It's very nice. It's very symmetrical. It wasn't like a huge swing of points where it's like, because, you know, you got that one, in a 2-player game, you got that one, I got that one, it's basically a wash. You got the most decree tiles, and I'm like, damn it, that's 20 points, that sucks. And then I got the one of 2 points per adjacent matching leaves, and that was 10.
Yeah.
And I was like, okay, you know, not too bad. You got 10 points on me.
Yeah.
But other than that, they're shuffled in randomly.
Just an extra thought.
Yeah.
Yeah. An extra, extra layer to your hive.
Yeah.
Something else to consider.
Which again makes it, that's kind of like every module. Like everything was like, we didn't completely revamp the game. It's just, a little bit more thought. You know, you play Honey Buzz a lot, things are going to get really stale, I feel like. Here's something just to kind of spice things up a little bit. So, out of all the decrees, it's probably, actually, I don't know. I think I talked myself into liking it a little bit more because I'm like, yeah, I got 10 points out of it. But I think through the process of the game, it was like, And I saw those 2 leaves, the purple leaves over there with the decree, but then you had like 3 people there. And I'm like, no, I'm not sending 4 people to get a decree tile. So that was the autumn leaves. Now this one is the reason I won the game, I think. And that's the nectar caps.
Nectar caps.
So, in terms of aesthetics, it's stupid. It's literally a clear fucking cap that just has a number on it. Like nothing fancy about it. It doesn't even fit the theme. But it's like another way of getting points that if you don't want to produce honey, you just cap it off.
Yeah, I think it helps with in the situation you'd run into. I'd collect all the buckwheat.
Yeah.
And so what do you do if you don't really want to fill any orders with the buckwheat and you can't fill these orders, you kind of have some useless honey sitting around?
Yeah.
You cap it off or just raw? It descends, but initially it's like, where originally it's like the counting action is just 5 points.
Yeah.
10 points.
10 points
Double.
on the first one. Yeah, exactly. Like in this situation when we were just playing, it's like, well, I'm not gonna, because I had all different ones. I think I was able to create all 4 once. That's exactly what it is. So I was able to get very small orders, or they had to be different. I couldn't, like there was some early on that were 2 buckwheat, and I'm like, okay, I guess I'll go for that one, and there's no nectar tiles available to do. Okay, I guess I'll clear that order that has the 1 buckwheat I have, and then I'll cap it. And we'll just see how that works, because it is 10 points. So I think it is kind of a safe bet, but it's also a lot of points. In the multiplayer game, there's a 10-point trophy for who has the most.
I feel like, everyone has to kind of be in on that one. I feel like it's, but if you go too hard on it, it can cripple you, I guess.
Yes.
If you go too aggressive with it too soon,
Yeah,
it can kneecap you.
which is interesting. Yeah, it's
yeah.
like, oh, I really want that 10 points. Or in a higher player count game, it goes up to 12.
Yeah, definitely. When you get to the middle into the game, definitely start leaning into the caps.
It's almost
'cause,
like
I can't produce as much.
Yeah, it's almost like once one person starts into it, then it's like everyone has to kind of follow suit, because if it's like, oh, 12, 11, 10.
Because
All
if
right.
you when you just ran away with it, like suddenly you have 19 points in 2 actions.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But at the same time, like you sold 3 nectar or 3 sunflowers for 15.
For sure.
And then you did a market, sold, and then did another market and sold. So you actually like basically evened it out. Whereas like, oh shit, I have to hope that this works out for me. So it is kind of everyone needs to hop on it, but a safe bet to be like, I don't really care about orders. I wouldn't add in the nectar tiles on its own. Like everything else, I would be like, hey, let's throw this in base game, throw this module in. I wouldn't be like, base game, throw in nectar tiles. It feels like it complements everything else in the game.
Extra layer.
Yep. And then the last one is the Harvest Festival. This one I really liked. It's basically public objectives that you can claim. I mean, kind of like the race ones where it's first to do this gets these, but you also may have to make a decision on getting rid of a worker. And getting rid of a worker in this game is huge, because the more workers you have, one, the longer you stand out, like you don't have to recall as quickly, and you start making spaces expensive that it's like, is that tile worth 4 bees for me? And that's why Honey Buzz is great. I love that decision. But if it's not, if you're like, I'm going to be a cheap beehive, go work. Go to the festival. Go get drunk and fill out these orders. And there's just extra points.
Yeah. Let's cash in.
Because some of them are like 3 points per fruit order you have. 1 point per leaf. I was going to grab this one, but I didn't have a worker to grab.
Yeah.
But this one was, 2 points or 2 coins per nectar caps in all hives. And I was like, ooh, that'll be perfect. That'll be 10 points for me. But also, instead of the festival stuff, you can get a decree action for sending a worker.
Yeah. So, like, definitely, again, another kind of end game, hurry up and, try and your Hail Mary here.
Yeah.
Spend the workers for the extra actions to try and get ahead.
Yeah.
But then everyone's going to be doing that.
Right, and then it fills up, and that's actually a way for the sunset to end. It was interesting because I felt like I was doing that early. Like I was like, boom, like that was a way that I was able. I think I completed 2 orders that way, because it's like, okay, I can do this market, then I can use my fan to get another one and forage to get my other fall order, and then I'm gonna do that decree to fill out a market, fill that order, and then do another decree because I just felt so it like you get a lot of steamroll combo actions, which is really cool. Like it felt really rewarding. Now I will say about Honey Buzz, it kind of sucks because it's like when someone is kind of steamrolling, you just have to sit here and just basically just get farted on. You're just like, watch me do all this cool stuff, and then you're like, I'm just waiting for you to be done, dude.
I kind of agree with that. I couldn't imagine playing with what's the player count of this game?
4. I've played at 3.
Yeah, it's like, once in a while we have really cool turns or really busy, hives, and then it's just, you just keep going. And then you're completing orders, and then it just, your turn just kind of keeps going. It's kind of hard to keep track of everything that you're doing.
Yeah.
Which is cool, because you have those turns too. Everyone has those turns.
Yeah.
You're excited for them, but it's kind of slow.
There's nothing you do that will ever kind of... I mean, yeah, the forward stuff is competing for things, but and then the orders. Like, the game does have interaction. But in the overall scheme of things, whenever I place my worker and take a tile, it's like, okay, now watch me do 5 actions. And it's like, I don't want to watch you do 5 actions. I want it to be my turn so I can do 5 actions. But overall, I like this. Because, one, it's kind of, again, a race. It's an extra layer of points. This is probably, I feel like, the most complex. Not in terms of how it works. It's very simple. End of your turn, send a worker to either do a decree action or work. But it's because of the 4 things that you also have to consider now on top of the 3 Queen's Orders and the Foliage cards. So it's like, at least in a 2-player game, it's like 8 new cards that give you points. Or the decree action, which is a wild action. So it feels good, it's really nice to have, but I would almost say, like, if you're going to play the game and throw in that module, just have that module.
Yeah.
I wouldn't want to put it with everything else. That's the one that kind of tipped it a little bit over. It's like if someone was to be like, this is too much, it's like that's probably the reason why it's too much. The cap's easy.
Yeah.
I don't want to get 5 points, I'll cap this off because I don't need it. Okay, that's that. I want leaf tiles. Okay, just that's that new card. What's one more foliage card on top of those 3? Was there any of them that you didn't like?
Oh, well, obviously the caps.
There was a reason I lost.
No, I feel like it all just adds extra layer, extra texture, descriptor words for good stuff.
Yeah, synonyms.
It all added synonyms to the game. No, I enjoyed it a lot more than the core game. Well, I'd say the core game's still decent.
Yeah, core game's good.
Yeah, I definitely like the fruit. I enjoyed that. This, whatever, take it or leave it.
I like the theme. Yeah. Mainly because I prefer fall over summer.
Yeah.
Or whatever. It is. I love the art. Like, I just love that very those cool fall colors versus. I mean, here I have the.
Just look at the color transitions here. We got pink to your oranges, more pink.
Yeah, and
to your blue
and Heidsick or whatever, however you pronounce the name here. I will pull up the. So
whoever arted the hell out of it.
It's and Heidsick or Heidseek. Oh my god, I'm gonna blow up. Yeah, there you go. There you go. So there's your two types of art. My only thing about this expansion that I don't like, the storage is phenomenal. Like, Elf Creek Games did a great job. Unlike how they stored Merchants of the Dark Road, they should be sued for how they wanted you to store that garbage ass game. But the storage is really good for both the base game and that if you have, unfortunately, the Kickstarter, which I do now, which is why you have the base game of Honey Buzz, because I was like, now I can organize it. But the expansion comes off so standalone. Like, when I was setting it up and I was like, oh, I guess I don't need the base game because it looks like everything is here. Like, it has the board, and then I was like, oh, now I need the money. I need the Queen's cards. I need the tile board. That's pretty much it. That's all I pulled. And the nectar. That was it.
Yeah.
Everything else was new in the expansion. So I'm like, you could have thrown in the extra fucking cards. You could have made that. You could have came up with new Queen's Orders. But I guess at the same time, because it is so similar, there'd be no reason to own the Fall Flavors expansion if it was basically the base game, just a different theme.
Because, at that point, they'd probably be relying on the people that are already experienced with their game. So, I don't know.
Yeah, it'd be kind of
and of course, you don't want to buy the game when you already own the game. So they're probably still targeting the people that were already enjoying the previous game.
Yeah, but then my other thing is like, okay, well, if you want it to be an expansion, like a modular expansion for a bunch of stuff, I wish it was one box
Yeah.
now instead of 2 boxes that have good storage inserts. It's like, okay, well now if I want to do the modular stuff, I still have to pull everything out of that and then go to my core game to pull 3 things out of that, and now it's just weird. It's just like, I don't know. I just storage wise, it would have been nice to have everything all in one.
Right.
But really, that's my only complaint. I think they really did a great job with all the modules. And the game's fantastic because I won, so that's the only reason I like games.
We were like, if I had gotten this sell-off, we would like tied.
Let's recap. Okay, so
what was your number?
20, 40, 60, 80, 100.
No, you're like 143 or 148.
140. I give you 20, 40, 60, 80, 20, 40, 60, 80, 100, 120, 130, 38. 38. 143. Yep, you're right. 143.
143. This would have been what? What's it?
4,
So
7, 9,
so
15.
15 on top of my. What was I at? 129. So I've been like 139. So I've been at 144. If I got that sell off.
Ooh, but you ended the game, so you would have beat me by 1 point.
I had to collect my workers.
Yeah,
I could have just thrown the guy.
That recall sucks. Sorry. Just maybe
it's all because I put the one guy down there before. I would have had still the 1B to do it.
You would have, but you didn't, which is a real shame. But yeah, it's really good. So if you really like Honey Buzz, then I think the Fall Flavors expansion is solid to get. Just be okay with having a whole separate core box, pretty much. Yeah, so on a scale of 1 to 10, what are you going to give the Fall Flavors expansion?
Yes. The Euros you've introduced me to. This one's very approachable.
When it's your turn, the game just feels good. Even because then what this game also does is, like, you go for the quick turns. I really enjoy the fact that everyone has to start with the same setup, even though it does feel like you're copying someone. But the game quickly leans into, I'm doing my whole separate strategy. We start off the same, but boom, here's what I'm doing. It allows you to do a bunch of setups too. It's like, okay, I'm not going to get to do anything right now, but
later.
But boy, oh boy, when I start getting really weird, like about my thing.
You think economy-wise, each of these is an action, and depending on how you arrange them, you're going to have the same amount of actions roughly. The only difference being, how much do you spend on for new workers, and how your longevity in your actions, and when you're going to just get a skip.
And it is also nice that the workers now, instead of just having all of them, you're just like, I just have a bunch of workers now. It's like, ooh, now I can do something extra with them. Because if it's getting expensive to go get decree tiles, I'll do a free decree action at the cost of a worker. It just gave you extra stuff to do while also keeping the game true to its core and not making it longer.
Right. It's just really it's the same as the core game, action wise. They modified, so okay, a little more thought in the placement with these. Let's see here, a little more thought on selling and gathering items. The caps just added an additional action for the accounting action.
Yeah.
And then just a little bit of spice at the end of your turn. You can toss a guy to get actions.
Yeah.
So
then all of that
not really
in
too
the
complicated.
With the sunset, where it's like there's 6 movement spots. That everyone's going to go orders. The game's going to be over real quick when the stack ends. I think it's very curated. God, I really love that cover. Like that Fall Flavors color. Those colors are just really doing it for me. And mainly because we're doing this in the middle of summer. Fuck summer. I am over it. I am over it. Hot bugs and just, flies. And if you have pets, then you have to deal with fleas. And it's like, God, I think I'll kill myself. What do you give it the Fall Flavors?
Oh, right. A number score. I'm going to give it a 4. I almost feel like an 8.
I'm gonna give it a 4.
Give it a 6. Solid 5.
6. That's all. It's average, yeah. It's okay.
For a Euro. I only play high quality Ameritrash. That's all I play.
Where's the Honey Buzz boss battler? When do we get to take on that bee?
Yeah, you know, 8 feels good. 8, yeah. It's a cool game. Maybe 9? But I'm gonna stick at 8.
Yeah.
Really good expansions. I recommend them.
Yeah.
I think they add extra depth to the game without overcomplicating it.
Mm-hmm. Which is huge, because sometimes you get expansions and then you're like, you know what? I'm never going to bring this out, because it's like I have to teach someone the core game, and then if I want to, show them this expansion, that's a whole nother ordeal. This one, it's like I feel like I could throw in a module or two to the core game and teaching someone.
Mm-hmm.
Be like,
oh, easily.
Yeah, throw in the
Very
foliage
easily.
thing.
Yeah.
Just be like, oh, you know what? Here's another little wrinkle, which is nice. I'm also at an 8. I think that the game is really good. It would be a 9 if there was a better storage solution, but now I have to keep 2 boxes of Honey Buzz next to each other for no reason. I can't even... I mean, if I didn't want the inserts are very nice. So at least there's that. There's a silver lining there. I guess if I didn't want the inserts, I could bag everything up and probably fit it into the core box. But I don't want to fit in the core box. I want to fit in the expansion box because it's better. But yeah, I think I'm also agreeing, give it an 8. So that is our thoughts on the Honey Buzz Fall Flavors expansion. Let us know what you think of it in the comments below. Other than that, like, comment, share, and subscribe, and have a wonderful whatever time of day it is for you. Hey everyone, thank you for watching, and I really hope that you enjoyed the video. If you would like to see more of my content, go ahead and click that subscribe button and the bell to be notified whenever I upload any new content. If you feel like supporting the channel, you can go ahead and click that Patreon link to be taken to my Patreon, and any help is truly appreciated. Other than that, stick around for any other run-throughs or reviews or cool top 10s or whatever I feel like putting on. Other than that, like, comment, share, and subscribe, and have a wonderful whatever time of day it is for you.